Cameron Chardukian here with the Daily Developer Show, the show where we talk every single day about how you can become a better web developer and how you can optimize your lifestyle as a web developer. Now, what I want to talk to you about in this video is feeling anxiety about the progress you're making when you're learning to code. For example, maybe you feel like you're doing these different exercises on Free Code Camp or Code Academy, or you're building your own projects. Not Code Academy. Actually, I read it wrong. I was reading it wrong for like a year. It's not Code Academy, it's Code Academy. Mind blown when I realized that one. But the point is, you might be having these thoughts when you're doing these different tutorials or you're building your projects. Oh man, I'm not making progress fast enough. I feel like to achieve my goal of getting a job as a web developer, or to build the type of projects I'd like to build, or to get my freelance career going, it's just going to take forever. Maybe you're right, I don't know. But the point is, how can we get rid of this anxiety? This anxiety is counterproductive in most cases. Sure, it can be good to feel a little bit of concern. Am I going to get there? To question yourself a little bit, because question yourself and feeling self-doubt, it can lead to you being introspective and investigating whether the work you're doing will actually lead you to your desired outcome. That is the positive side of feeling the self-doubt. But once you've thought logically about the problem and you've been introspective about whether the work you're doing is going to lead you to that outcome, after that, having this stress and anxiety is counterproductive, because first of all, it's going to decrease your enjoyment of life. It's going to increase the cortisol in your body, the stress hormone, which will make it more difficult to relax and focus. It might lead to you procrastinating because thinking about programming is making you feel stressed out. So what do we do? This is obviously not the result that we want. So what can we do? Here's what I'd recommend to you. Number one, here we go, back to whiteboarding. Number one, we need to clearly define our goal. What is our goal your goal in learning to program? Obviously, your goal might be to make, for example, your goal is to make $5,000 a month working for a company and doing programming. But ask yourself the question, what will it take to get there? I like to think of this question in terms of, how much time do I have to put in to achieve this goal? For example, if your goal is to get a job as a web developer, I've heard lots of estimates that it will take somewhere from 800 to 1,200 hours to achieve that goal. Let's say you go with kind of the higher end of that estimate, and you say, okay, my goal is to deliberately practice 1,200 hours of programming. I'm going to do tutorials. I'm going to do some exercises to get the basic syntax of the language down. I'm going to do a tutorial or two to up my familiarity with that. And then I'm going to build projects in those languages or technologies. And I'm going to put in 1,200 hours repeating this cycle with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Node.js, whatever technologies you choose. Your goal is to put in 1,200 hours. That's an example. Based upon your goal, you could change this total. But, so now we know this is a reasonable goal. If you search this on YouTube, if you read about people who are mentoring other people that are learning to code, or if you go and look at the statistics of coding boot camps, if you're programming for 12 hours a day for 100 days, that's 1,200 hours. So if you figure, many people from coding boot camps do get jobs very soon after graduating, and 12 hours is on the high side for how much you could be programming every day. This is realistic. We know this is realistic. So if this is realistic, we have to ask ourselves, how quickly do we want to achieve this goal? Let's say your goal is to become a web developer in 1 year. Well, then all we have to do is we can divide 1,200 by 365. Let's quickly do that. I'm bringing up my phone. We get 3.28 hours. So we need to do about maybe let's say let's just be conservative, and let's say we do 3.5 hours a day, right? So we need to practice for 3.5 hours a day, or times that by 7, and we need to practice for about 23 hours a week. So this should be your target. If your goal is to become a web developer in 1 year, for example, practice for 23 hours a week. And now you say like, oh, so Cam, sometimes I deal with anxiety when learning to program. I just feel like I'm not making enough progress. If you agree on other people's estimates that it takes about 1,200 hours, if you're putting in 23 hours a week and your goal is to do it in 1 year, you no longer have to feel anxious, provided that you're actually putting in the work. You can put in this work and then relax, because you know you did, assuming that time was focused, you know you did the required amount of work to reach your goal in the time frame that you'd like. So there's no value in stressing, because you already did what needs to be done, and now you can put it out of mind, at least until the next day or the next week. Now, if you want to be conservative, even more conservative than this, fine, boost it up to 1,500 hours a week. If other people are putting in 1,000 hours and getting a job, if you could put in 1,500 hours in a year, you're almost guaranteed to get a job. So then you just divide 1,500 divided by 365, and you get about 4.1 hours a day. So let's call it 4 hours and 10 minutes a day. Times that by 7. So this is a little bit conservative, but we can say put in about 28 hours and 45 minutes. And if you put in this total every single week for a year, it is virtually guaranteed that you'll achieve your goal of becoming a web developer in 1 year. So then you know, okay, I'm putting in my 4 hours every day. Once I put in my 4 hours, it doesn't matter if I had to sit in my chair 4 hours to get in 4 hours of productive work, or if I had to sit in my chair for 10 hours. Once I get those 4 hours in, I'm going to be happy with the progress that I made. I'm going to allow myself to relax, because I know I did what it takes. Now, another question you might have is, okay, that's great, but how can I track this time? I recommend you use an app called Eternity. I know they have it for iPhone. I use it on iPhone. Maybe they have it on Android too, but if they don't, I'm sure you can find some equivalent time tracking app. So I'll pull it up on my iPhone to show you. So here we go. We've got my iPhone, and here we go. It's this little red app. I know it's a little bit hard to see. It's called Eternity. So we're going to click Eternity, and it's a little bit hard to see. Can I do that? Okay, so I'm going to hide my face, and now you can see it. This app allows you to say how long you've been doing some activity. So for example, I've been recording videos for the Daily Developer Show for 13 minutes. So then when I finish this, I'll press this button, and then I can go to some new activity. I can go and I can say that, okay, now maybe I am, for example, I'm cleaning my apartment. I'm cleaning. And you can do this throughout the day, so you can easily track how much time you're spending programming every day. For example, here's my total for Thursday. On Thursday, I can see that I programmed for 3 hours and 43 minutes. And then if you combine the Eternity app with the total that you calculated for your goal, about how many hours it will take for you to reach the level of programming or to achieve your goal in 1 year or 6 months or whatever your time frame is, then you have objective proof that there's no need to feel anxious, because you know you're on the path that will lead you to your goal. So that's what I would recommend to you if you're ever worrying about, am I ever going to make it there? Just keep on putting in the hours, and you will get there. And if you want to feel more confident and have objective evidence that you're making progress, you can keep a daily coding journal, which I recommend, but you can also use the Eternity app or another time tracking app, and you can see how much time you're putting in every day and if you're achieving your total that you specified. Assuming you do that, there's nothing to worry about, because you will achieve your goal. So I hope you found this video useful. Please subscribe because this is the Daily Developer Show. And I will see you and your beautiful face tomorrow.